Absolutely. Okay. We're going to start goddess body goals. Now, if you came here and you're like, well, I don't really want to work on anything fitness related, just take this skeleton we're going to go over today and apply it for whatever goal that you're wanting to set. It could be, relationship, financial, anything there. So, obviously you've got your goodies. We have like the free Facebook group. So after this, try to stay connected, right? Drop in there, leave what your mission is for the week. We ask, questions every week. And a lot of these girls actually met in that group, funny enough, because they were commenting back and forth in the community. We can anticipate probably about 75 minutes together today. I know that's a long time, but when it comes to something like setting goals, the more time and attention you give to it, the more serious you make it, the more your brain starts to put the wheels in motion that, hey, we said we're going to do this thing, and let's go ahead and plan that out. And you'll realize that like the universe conspires in your favor, but really you just knew I spent the time, I did the things, and here we are. Again, participating, super important. And if you find that chat box real quick, I want you to take a minute to just let us know what you would like to get from this workshop, right? You may just want to set a goal, but other than that, what do you want to get out of it? You want to leave feeling how? Let us know. And as a reminder, best way to participate is questions and answer, the Q&A portion or questions throughout so we can answer. We've all been there and, there's no dumb question. So you've got all the goodies. And the one thing I want you to remember is no matter what happens after today, rather than just taking this as information, I want you to do something about it. You just need to take that next step. Okay, so we have some coaches here. I don't have the full screen to see all the bodies in here now, but if you're a coach on the team, please paste it in the chat box. Let us know what coaches are here, and you can kind of see, who we got on board. I'm going to share with you some of my failed goal attempts and really my story, so that way you can understand really like where things go wrong and the logic behind why it's so important to get really deep when it comes to planning out your goals. We'll go over the things that did and didn't work, what started to change after that, and you'll clearly need to put some strategies in place. So make sure you have that workbook, a pen, whatever you need. And we'll also go over some ways to work with us. Obviously, it's the beginning of the year. This is what we do. We'll offer that up. If you are interested, we'll cover everything you can expect in that program that's starting soon, the Goddess Body Project. And then we'll do the show up bonuses drawing and email you guys and let you know who the winner is. But we're going to get morbid for 1 second. So just bear with me and set all of your preconceived notions aside, because the reality of it is you're going to die someday. And I know that that is very heavy and seems kind of silly to talk about in a goal setting workshop. But what I want you to think about when you're setting your goals for your body, it's not just because you want to look good, right? Yes, that's a byproduct. That's a lot of what sells in media. But what I want you to remember is that this is the only thing you have to carry you through life. And when your health is in good standing, most of the time your body follows suit. So if you can shift your perspective to how can I become healthier, you're going to get hotter as a byproduct. It's just the nature of how it works. So think about your life. It's very short. And I want you to think about what is going to lie in the dash between your birth date and your day of death. That is what you have, is the time between your date of birth and your date of death. And you want to think, did I live fully? Did I do all the things I wanted to do, that I set out, my dreams, my goals? And if you don't have a body that's in good health, you likely aren't going to be able to do those things. So I'm so passionate about it for more than just like, let's get abs and I want a six pack. That's all great. And I know that that's what a lot of us want, but we have to think beyond that, because at the end of the day, when you're on a diet, if you're just doing it for abs, you're likely not going to stick to it. So I really like to hit home with the importance of the health factor. And just to drive it home a little bit more, there is a book that was written by Bronnie Ware, and it was called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. No, I told you we were going to get a little serious here, but I promise there's some fun coming up. Now, she was a nurse to those who were in their final weeks of life. So like a hospice nurse, and just kind of imagine that scenario. We might even have some hospice nurses here or nurses in general. Now, she wrote a book, and what the common theme was, as you can see on the screen, there were a lot of things that people regret. And one thing I want is to make sure that anybody that is in contact with me has, any kind of influence by me, is that I don't want you to have regrets. It's just not a great place to be. So when you think about your goals, think deeper, right? It's going to be hard the days you don't want to get out of bed and go to the gym. You have to have a deeper why for doing those things. So once you understand the importance of it, it really tends to hit home. So how does that feel for everybody, right? Like, what is one on here you definitely do not want to have? I see that chat blowing up. How's it going in there?
We are actually getting emails that they can't put their name on there, so I'm doing it for them.
Oh, got you. Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to regrets of the dying, you don't want disease, not spending enough time with family and taking risks, right? Come out of this knowing I can complete it. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes we go into things and it's scary because we're afraid we're not going to be able to stick to something. So we don't even want to, to even attempt. And that's normal. That's definitely normal. Wishing I hadn't worked so hard. All right. So you get it. You get what I'm trying to say here, right? I want you to be intentional about your goal setting. Now, I like to share this. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but it's really just to say, I'm nobody special. All right. I was just a regular old girl who made some, maybe not the best choices at a young age. And I had to find all of this out and work through things and, lots of bumps and bruises along the way. But if those of you that, I'm so sorry I did not introduce myself, but I'm sure my name is Diane Flores. I'm with BB Pro. But it didn't start that way. So it was things that I had to figure out. It wasn't genetics. I started my first diet when I was 15. And, I think my daughter's here somewhere. She's a coach. She works for me, but my parents are still unhealthy, to this day. My dad just told me the other day, oh, they had to increase my, diabetes medicine because my diabetes is getting worse. I'm like, Dad, yeah, you can't eat a sleeve of Oreos for breakfast. Like, we've talked about this, and it was just not what I knew. And so where I went wrong with, my early adulthood and trying to get my health on track is, one, I wasn't taught how to eat that way. I had to kind of figure it out. And my poor two, oldest children were kind of drug along the way as I'm like bumps and bruises and trying to figure out how to cook and things. But where I went wrong was every time in that early era before I got into health and fitness and I wanted to get in shape, my goals were kind of just that. It was like, oh, I want to get in shape. But what does that even mean? And they weren't tied to anything really more important or much of a purpose. It was just, I was uncomfortable. I wasn't feeling good. And when I started to take care of myself, I started to realize the importance of taking care of my body and nutrition. And I actually didn't want to eat like that anymore because I was tired of not feeling good. So, not getting specific, I'd love to know where you feel, what number you resonate with in terms of you've set goals before and you just can't seem to achieve them, or you just get to a certain point and then you give up, right? Where exactly do you feel like you go wrong? Is it that you slip back into some of your old habits? You don't stay consistent, you lose motivation, so you quit. You love junk food, right? Who doesn't? All the yummy things out there. Do you get too complicated, right? You have to measure your salt, measure your fiber, measure, like, who's that person? I was that person for a minute. And then it was like, Janice is like, me, and then we're like, oh my God, this is too much. It's too overwhelming. And then you just do nothing. There are so many. Let's see in the chat. overcomplicate things. Let's see. Christina says not being consistent. She's got 2, 5, right? List them off. Which ones? 7, lack of accountability. I don't have time. 12, not planning it, not writing it down. I'm going to be honest with you guys. We did this workshop. I think this is the 3rd time I've done this workshop, but I adjust it and tweak it. And every time I do it, when I revisit this slide, I'm like, mine always change, right? Right now, mine, and because I'm human, I'm not an angel with all of these. I said on my, my last presentations, I always say, just because I don't, I got my pro card doesn't mean I'm not a human. I still deal with this stuff. But mine right now are number 8 and number 12. So number 8 is, I'm overwhelmed. I've got my hands in a lot of pots. I got a lot of things going on. Ugh, the gym's just one more thing. And let me just eat a protein bar and a protein shake, right? Anybody there? That might be where you're at right now. Not planning it, writing down. I shared on Instagram. If it's not written down and I have to look at it and it's a reminder, a lot of times I'll forget it, right? Our brain's meant for not storing, things like that. So for me, I was like, I'm going to go digital this year. That was my resolution for last year, for 2024. Absolutely hated it. I noticed a dip in productivity, all these things. Guess what, you guys? I got a new planner, okay? Because you have to figure out, okay, well, what's the solution? What's the solution? Thank you for sharing that too, by the way, because I know that's a vulnerable share. All right. Anyone else resonate with this? Like maybe you're here now, maybe you felt this way in some point of your life, but I lived in Walmart sweatpants and I was sick and I was dealing with a lot of health issues. Very ashamed, very defeated. I had 0 body self-confidence, just always hating my body, looking at it and thinking, comparing it to the models in the magazines and things like that. And at that point, it was like a wake up moment for me. I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I got to start figuring out how to get out of this. I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. Now, which ones, like I said, have you resonated with? Because at some point you have to get very serious with yourself and think, what do I need to do to get out of this? Right? I've been here long enough. I've been in this position and I've got resources to make a change. But which one hits you the hardest, right? Like having, sexy time with your partner with the lights off or not even wanting to be naked and, those types of things. It's a really empowering feeling to be able to abolish all of this because of the choices that you make for your body, right? Let's see what we got in the chat. 1, ashamed and defeated. Avoiding mirrors, right? Like I tell the stories like the times I was pregnant, I often think now as, a woman almost nearing 50, and I think, man, I really wish I had my mentality now to go back and appreciate the wonder that is the woman body, the female body to actually create life. And it has to make room for that. But I have wisdom and I understand now, but I don't have photos of that time. And that's something that I really wish, I could spread to more women, like take more photos, be in the photos, regardless of your shape and size, right? Okay. We're going to get to the workbook. I promise it's coming. Now, the other things that are big mistakes, and this is why I want to educate before we go into goal setting, is I've done all of these and then some, but these are the things that we tend to see right now at the beginning of the year. And I'm not saying that any of these are inherently wrong, but they're wrong if you don't foresee yourself doing it forever. Okay. If you want to go keto and you hate sweets and you hate carbs and you hate sugar and you hate life, then you can be keto. Okay. But if you think you're going to want a cookie one time or a cake or whatever, there's not like keto-ish, like you have to be keto to do keto and people are keto-ish. I'm like, that's not how keto works, but I kept making the same mistakes. Now, each diet serves a purpose, but when you think about losing weight, if that is your goal, which of these do you think you could do forever? Probably none of them. And spoiler alert, even a bodybuilder's diet, I tell the story of like when I first started coaching clients in like 2011, I would give them my like an ideal bodybuilder diet, like my types of foods, and I would plan it out how they needed it. And they were just like soccer moms who wanted to like lose 15 pounds. And they did it and they lost the weight and then they gain it all back. And I was like, okay, we gotta figure something out. Like we gotta like moderation. What is that even? But the point to this is like you will lose weight if you're in a calorie deficit doing any of these things, but it's going to come off really fast and you're probably going to gain it all back as soon as you try to be normal. Because when you lose the weight, you can't just be like, all right, cool, I lost that 15 pounds. I'm done with this diet, and then just go back to your original diet. It's just the diet cha-cha. So with that, who's done any of these? I would love to know what diets out here did you live by? Denise?
Oh yeah, probably all of them.
Yeah.
I think the only one I haven't done is Weight Watchers, which is probably what most people have done.
I did that one in 2004 and five, I think, because I had a coworker who was doing it. And it's actually probably if I was going to have to pick any any one of these for you to actually attempt to follow, it probably would be Weight Watchers, because what we teach is similar in concept where it's like you can eat whatever you want, but it just needs to fit a specific amount of calories. Weight Watchers just doesn't really promote well, they may now. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the time when I was doing it, they really weren't promoting like the health benefit aspect of it. It was just like, eat this, you can eat cookies all day and they're this many points, right?
Right.
But yeah, keto, Weight Watchers, Atkins, all the things. Yeah, Noom is another one.
Yeah. One
Okay.
that I did that probably not on here is the South Beach diet. I don't know if
Oh,
you did that
yes.
one. I bought the book. I had
Oh,
like
yeah.
all the meals from the grocery store, all of that. That one was a big one for me.
Yeah.
Did not work.
Oh my gosh. I think I had that book for years too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did too.
Okay.
I
So
sold
we're
it in a
going to
garage
go.
sale.
Yeah. What's that?
I sold it in a garage sale.
Oh, yes. I feel like I remember selling mine in near sale too. Okay. So on this topic, just to continue to drive this home, because I love me to just like beat a dead horse. I hate that phrase, but you know what I mean, is with the facts, it's very easy to see you need to commit to the process, right? And honestly, not even just going down to financially committing, like all of these things need to be done, right? The facts are you have a 95% a chance of achieving your goals if you commit financially. The 10% of people will say that are successful say, oh, I want to lose weight. Okay. 25% are consciously deciding or declaring it, like telling people, yeah, I'm going to watch what I'm eating. I'm going to do it. 25% of those are successful. 40% are successful when they decide when they're going to do it by, right? This is huge because rather than say, I'm going to get in shape this year, what does that mean? Is it going to take you 365 days to get in shape? Is it going to be the first half of that year, right? Getting very specific. Then 50% of people are successful when they plan it out, which is what you're doing today. And I know some of you were actually here last time I did this workshop. So it's telling me like you're understanding the importance of it. 65% of people when they commit to someone. So if you have a bestie and you guys are accountability buddies, we've seen this a lot, even with girls in the studio. They want somebody to like walk with them after class or whatever. They commit to a day and a time, right? And then 95% of people who pay attention and they actually get results. And it's really interesting because as online coaches, we're kind of like selling you a hope and a dream. So it really is all of our information and your commitment. And then together, it's really how it happens, right? So this is kind of my story because I didn't hire a coach for many, many years. And this is the first time that I actually did it. So I just kind of like to reference it because at this point, it's not that the photo on the left is inherently bad. I just had my son a couple years prior. And so it was everything I'd learned from magazines got me really to where I was here, and group fitness, and, just kind of, it was like a soup of things, but nothing was ever consistent. And then I was asked to be in this local calendar, and I had a pole dance studio at the time. And so I think I dropped 6 pounds, right? It was nothing crazy, but the point is I probably adhered to that at about 85%. I was checking in with my coach every week and doing all the things. And it was like a light bulb went off. And I have had a coach ever since then. I have never not had a coach. Like this last year was the first time I'm like, I'm going solo, right? But up until then, it's been since 2010. It was super important. And this is the evolution of all of those investments, right? I've had different photo shoots, I've done different things, and it has been a journey of me not just going like, well, I think I'm going to do this thing and let me just go to the gym and get in shape, right? Specific, very specific goals. And I want that for you because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then we got it into formula, and this is what we do. So, what movie is this? It's a good one. It's a really good one. Who remembers this, right? Alice in Wonderland. I kind of go back and rewatch it. It's been a minute. But this point in the movie where she gets to the Cheshire Cat and she says, which way do I go? There's a Y in the road. And he basically tells her, pick one. It doesn't matter if you don't know where you're going. And so I want you to pick a lane and stay in that lane and focus on it for the next 12 weeks for yourself. But you've got to figure out your why. So this is where the rubber meets the road. Get out your workbooks and we're going to get to work. Okay. Get to should be page 3 of your workbook. If you don't have the workbook, let us know in the chat box. We posted it in there a few times, but we might have some of you that are just now popping in. But I want you to think about your why. What is the biggest reason why you want to achieve a thing, right? Whatever your goal might be. And you might not have a definite concrete answer for that, but I really want you to start juggling the marbles in your head. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds here to take the time and think about these questions. Now, a not so great goal is I just want my best body ever. That's awesome. That's the end goal. But what does that look like to you? What does that feel like? What does that mean? Is that a size? Is that like I'm able to do this with my, physically with my body, run, something like that? Get very, very specific. Now, when you do this, the more feelings you can bring into it, the better, right? Especially just overall, generally, as women, we tend to just work really well with wanting to feel a certain way. Like, I like feeling like this. I hear it all the time. How are you wanting to feel in your body? That also helps you kind of get really specific with your goals. Take about 10 more seconds. And again, we're kind of zipping through, but after the workshop, I encourage you to take 15 minutes to wrap up your thoughts and get them down. All right. Now, in the chat, again, it's powerful to not only write it, it's more powerful for you to write this freehand rather than type. Quite frankly, there is studies that show just that brain, that connection, it just kind of rewires your brain better that way than typing. But I do want to know in the chat box, right? Drop it in there. And then I'm going to read through them and I'm going to challenge you to think a little bit deeper. So if you want a bit more probing and like remolding of your goal, continue to drop it in the chat and I will ask you questions. That's what coaching is. And that's how we really help you get clear on what it is you're trying to achieve. Because once you know, then it's really easy to like map that shit out. Perfect. Denise is already jumping in there.
I
Okay.
started to do that when you mentioned that. So
Yeah. Okay. Kathleen says, I want to feel strong and sexy. And what does strong mean to you? And what does sexy mean to you? By strong, I want to do 3 pull-ups in 12 weeks, right? And then you can break that down into smaller goals every week. You want to feel sexy. What does that mean? I want to do a boudoir photo shoot by the time I'm XYZ. A lot of those photos you saw of me were because I wanted a goal and I knew if I had my feet to the fire, I'd do the shit to do the thing, right? And my goal would be, I want to have a sexy photo shoot. Well, okay, I want to feel confident. Well, what do I need to do to get there? And then that's how you kind of pull back the layers of what sexy means. I want to be an example for my family. I want to live and age healthy, and I want to feel powerful. Perfect. So, Giovanna, with those goals, you want to be an example of what for your family? Like run with that, right? What kind of person do you want to be an example for your family? I want to live and age healthy by what? By having low blood pressure, by not getting diabetes. Like think about maybe things in your family history that come up, because if you can attach it to a meaning, it's going to be more impactful. You want to feel powerful. What does that mean? Does that mean I want to be able to walk into my boss's office and ask for a raise confidently? I want to be able to ask for what I want in the bedroom, right? Like, let's uncover, let's kick the dust up. Feel comfortable in your own skin. Kim, what does that mean? Does that mean you're wearing a bikini at a summer barbecue this summer? Like, what does that mean? It really, and it could be wearing a tank top, right? We've had clients come in and we've actually had that happen where we're like, what's your goal? I want to be able to wear a tank top. Okay, great. And like, we get specific. Okay, these are fantastic. Now I have some meat and potatoes. Let's move on to the next. I got the chills over here. All right, go to page 5 of the workbook. And what we need to think about is we have to learn from our past mistakes. Because if we go, oh, I'm just going to go back to that thing again. Well, that thing wasn't working. And we got to think, is it the thing or is it me? Right? Because there is also that. But what have you done before? Did it work? Was it sustainable? And what did you learn? So take about a minute. And when you've got your answers done, start pasting those in the chat box. Give me just a couple words or sentences of what has worked, what has not worked for you. And when you think of the word, like what has worked, or you think of that phrase, what has worked in terms of it's still working, not like, oh yeah, I did keto and it worked. I lost 20 pounds, but I gained it all back. Then keto didn't work, right? It worked for you to lose that 20 pounds, but it didn't work for you to just have this as like a lifestyle of, keeping that weight off, right? Oh, Catherine says hiring a personal trainer and tracking my macros. Wonderful. Christine, not write down, the chat box is moving fast. Oh, what didn't work is not writing the goals down. Ding, ding, ding. Yes. Winner of the day. You get a gold star, Christine, because it's key, right? Like if you don't write it down, Heidi even says planning her week, right? Writing it down, planning your week. So take today's workshop, take everything we're juggling around, get your handy dandy planner or your digital planner and start putting shit in motion, right? Like planning it out. It's your GPS. Okay. Now, when you think of the things that didn't work, aside from obviously the planning, we know that that's important. Um, what was difficult to sustain over time? If you've tried any of these diets that we talked about, right, or any of these methods, what is the most difficult to sustain over time? Most of the time, it's the diet piece of things because it's so unrealistic. And then we have the pill aspect, right? A lot of women come to us and they are on appetite suppressants and fat burners. They're so far removed from understanding how to feed their body, like because they're hungry. And when you're hungry, like let's make this decision and let's keep these kinds of foods at home and let's still enjoy a cookie or a crumble or a margarita, but let's not do that 7 days per week, right? Like let's balance it out so it just feels normal, right? Like it's really what we want to try to ingrain and get people to understand so you aren't resorting to these things. Cleanses. I've seen women have, I'm going to say it, fucked up their digestion from doing too many what am I thinking of, Denise? Laxatives or
Detoxes and
right. And
teas.
it screws up, yeah, it screws up your hormones. It's so bad. And I know because I've done it. And also we see it all the time. And so really it's a matter of getting back to just really loving your body and understanding what it needs to just
or the big
better.
one also, the big one, when you really mess up your digestion and we do it so often, not eating enough.
Yes.
Guys, you have no idea how much that destroys your internal system. And if I always tell my clients, if you're not healthy internally, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for externally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big one, not eating enough.
Yes, absolutely. And I apologize. I don't think I introduced Coach Denise. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen her, on social medias and whatnot. So sorry. My daughter is also here too. I was just kind of skimming through the chat box to see all the humans here. But yeah, so hopefully that, that made sense and you've got some goodies down. All right, let's flip to page 5 of your workbook. We're going to talk about uncovering some obstacles. Okay. Now, when you set your goals, a lot of times you don't think about the shit that you have to figure out once you say, I'm going to go to the gym every day and I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to, read 30 pages a day. And I'm going to, we set all these crazy New Year's goals, but we don't think about, oh, my real life still goes on. And not just because it's January 1st, nothing really changed, right? Except you want to hit reset. So look at this list. This is it's not exhaustive, but I want you to think about when you typically set your goals, what gets in the way? What out of this conglomeration of obstacles typically derails you? And jot that down. And then I want to hear from you guys, and it might not be something even on here, right? Social events. Yes. Finances, time, family. Let's see, what else? Money available to spend on a gym membership. Okay. Now, I 1,000% understand the financial piece of things. Okay. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of tough love. And what I'm going to say to you is there is an abundance of information at your fingertips online at any given moment for free. If you are watching this, you are likely watching it from a phone, which means you probably have internet and you can download YouTube. You could do body weighted stuff at home. You could find free meal plans, right? Like it's not the information that's the problem. It's everything else. Okay. So I want you to take that piece of it and saying like, oh, I don't have a gym membership. What else is getting in your way? Now that you know digitally, you can have whatever you want and have the roadmap. It's the accountability. It's setting the goals. It's making the time. It's making sure that when you have these things come up, you have to be disciplined. And that's the challenge. It's so simple. It's stupid, right, Denise? It's like,
yes,
eat vegetables, eat fiber, right? It's stuff that you guys all know. If someone's like, puts a pizza in front of you or a salad, which one's healthier, you're going to know, right? It's
Yeah.
more or less understanding that you have to start to build a new identity and telling yourself you're not that old person that's doing that. And that's okay. That person's not bad or wrong, but you're trying to make a better future. So you need to act as if that's what you're doing. Even if you feel like you don't know, just make that next best decision, right?
There's
Um,
so many in here that are saying having the difficulty to say no to food offers or saying no to drinking or saying no to, food that is in the break room or something like that. And I feel like this gets tied back to that all or nothing mentality. It's up here. There's so much in here around mindset that you guys probably don't even realize. And just a quick tip that if you've been with us for a while, you've heard us say, you know, don't think about it as I need to eat this now or it's never going to be around, right? One thing that I always tell myself is I already know what that tastes like. Like what's the worst that can happen if I don't eat that thing, right? There's nothing really that's going to happen. Instead of thinking, "Oh my gosh, everyone's eating it and I don't get to have it." Change your thought and empower yourself to say, "I'm choosing not to eat that right now because right now that doesn't support my goal." And move on. So when you empower yourself, it's
mhm.
so much easier for you to say no because you're choosing to do it. When you do something because you want to, it's easier to do it. When you're doing something because you have to, you're going to go back and do it anyway. And you're probably going to do it on steroids, right? Like tenfold.
Mhm. Mhm.
So change your mindset. Be aware of the thoughts that are coming to your mind when someone offers you food and tell yourself, actually, I don't want that. I'm
Mhm.
okay. I'm okay without it. Try to start telling yourself that over and over again, and it'll get easier. But I wanted to mention that because I'm seeing so much in here
Yeah.
about having a difficult time saying no to food offers.
Yes, yes. And that was great because it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. We hear it often. We have a lot of women that work in the health field, in the medical, medical field. And you would think that the health and, the medical field specifically was very health conscious. And I'm not saying they all are terrible, but it's pretty bad. Like the break rooms, the gifts they get. I mean, I worked in the medical field for almost 10 years and I probably gained about 12 pounds during that time because we were inundated with that stuff. And I wasn't in a spot where I was, kind of had the mindset I do now. So it was like, I'm eating all the things. But one thing I do also want to touch on is something Kathleen had mentioned, which she says her spouse's unhealthy habits are an obstacle for her as well. Does anybody else resonate with that? And the reason why I'm highlighting this is because the people you live with, whoever you are surrounded with, the 5 closest people are going to be the highly influential people who tend to steer your habits one way or the other if they're going to. So when you are wondering, why you can't seem to get past a certain level in your health and fitness game, I want you to think about that, right? Like who in your surroundings. And it's not to I'm not saying you have to get rid of these people, but sometimes uncomfortable conversations have to be had. My daughter's in here. I don't know if she wants to unmute and share, but we had to shift our family food, right? We had to shift the trajectory of how my whole family raised us, right? Alicia, I don't know if you want to say anything about it, but just on the nutrition piece of things.
You know what? I was thinking about that yesterday. Excuse my voice, I'm getting over a cold. But yeah, I went from eating milk, cheese, bread every meal, and mom said, "You know what? We're going to cut all these things out." And it was a shock. It was just a lot. And
Everybody was mad at me.
I was so mad. I was probably the most mad. But
Yeah.
now it's like I'm thankful for that shiftment for sure.
Well, I appreciate that because, and not to overshare, but we're all friends here, right? Like I only knew what I knew. And that's why I'm very, like, this is a very tender and like important topic for me because, like, I lived on like welfare food, right? It was milk, it was WIC. We had these coupons. And so Alicia would be known to eat like half a brick of cheese because I would get free government cheese. And then she couldn't go to the bathroom for like 4 days. I didn't know. We weren't like figuring these things out. And it wasn't until I got my nutrition certification, and it was at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, where I learned about so many dietary theories, and I like thought my head was going to explode. And I came home, and I was married at the time, and I said, we're never buying milk again. We aren't eating cheese. Like, I just cut it all out. Now, I had cheese pizza last night. But the thing is this isn't something that we do every day. It's like intermittently as treats, and we shifted our health significantly from that. So, okay, next slide. So this was just really getting into what's going to get into the way, get in your way. All right, now we need to go on to page 8, really getting specific about your goal. I want you to check your goal, whatever you've kind of come up with, and it needs to be super, super precise, right? So look at that second paragraph, and specifically, what is it that you want to achieve, right? Is it too vague? What do you have there? Is it specific enough that it feels like you know what your next step is going to be? So you can see on the screen here, we have a vague goal is, I want to lose weight. I want to get healthy and I want to exercise. Awesome. How much weight do you want to lose? When do you want to lose it? Why do you want to lose it? Right? How are you going to hold yourself accountable to losing that? How are you going to measure whether you're actually being successful? Are you going to weigh yourself? Are you going to take measurements? Are you going to take photos? What does get healthy mean? Right? Stop eating fast food 7 days a week. Great. Okay. Maybe you're going to do it 2 days a week. I'm not a huge fan of cold turkey, right? I may have been, 10 plus years ago when I started doing this and I didn't know any better, but it doesn't work. It's just not sustainable. So let's take a second there, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds of silence and just kind of tie up where you're at. And let's get some specific goals in the chat. Ten more seconds. Okay, we're rolling in. I'm going to just point out some really, really good ones here. Okay. Kathleen, lose 1 pound per week by pre-tracking my macros to stay within my appropriate calories, protein, carbs, and fats. You can't get any more specific than that, right? And well, actually, I will challenge that a teensy bit. And for how long, right? How long are you wanting to do this? This is obviously an indefinite thing. So give yourself a timeline. And what's the bigger goal, right? Like, what's the end result? So kind of weave that in if you can. Build muscle strength for longevity throughout menopause. Fantastic. Okay. What are you going to do to build the muscle strength, Christine? So what are the actions and things that you're actually going to do to make sure that happens? When is that going to happen by, right? Mary, 7 to 9 hours of unbroken sleep per night. Wonderful. What are you going to do to make that happen? And that's when you start putting those action steps in play. They're really great. Join the gym, eat more protein. Okay. Again, Christine, chop it down some more. How many days a week are you at the gym? How many grams of protein are you eating, right? You can see the hyper specific you become, the overall more likely you are going to understand what it takes to do that, right? What do you have to do to get to the gym? What time at the gym, right? I could go on and on and on with all of these, but that's why I'm saying it's super important to know where you're going. It's like, oh, I want to get in health, I want to gain muscle is like the end destination, but it's like GPS, right? If you like you wanted to go to New York, you would just be like, I'm going to go to New York. I don't know. I'm just going to come my car and drive there. But you need to know all the twists and turns along the way and make sure that you know the steps to get there. Okay. Beautiful consistency. I love that, Bev. Get to the gym 3 to 4 days a week. Awesome, Kim. Okay, let's keep going. We're on a roll. We're almost done. Page 8 and 9. You will see this next one, which is measurable. And this is sort of where I'm kind of already taking some of you is how are you going to measure progress towards your goal? How are you going to know that it's actually working? What you're doing is working, right? It's metrics, measurements, things like that. How are you going to track that sort of success? So for example, for one that put, I want to build muscle. What does that mean? Does that mean, again, like I mentioned earlier, you're doing 3 pull-ups, you're going to squat 135 pounds, right? What milestones, what sort of things are actually going to tell you, yes, I'm on track, and you'll know once you got there, right? And a lot of you guys are used to anchoring to one metric. Do we know what that is? Does anyone want to guess what most women just aim for when they start a program and what they use? The scale. Wow. Look at that. You guys all get A pluses. So I want that to be like so 2024. Okay. When you get on the scale and you start freaking out, it's like up a pound or 2 pounds or whatever. And, you know, you're doing your things, you're on track, you're doing all the things to be healthier, feel better, do all the things. And you get on there, you're like, okay, cool. It's data. That's what I tell myself. It's data. I know why for most of the time when it goes up significantly. So if it's going to flex like 1 to 3 pounds, it's probably, I didn't poop. I didn't drink enough water. I didn't eat enough fiber. I had too much salt. It's like those things. And if it doesn't go down, I know that it's going to take time. So just tell yourself it's just data when it comes to the scale. And I want you to think about other ways to measure your success, right? Again, that can also be having more energy and feeling better. So it's like, I'm sleeping more, right? I'm tracking that I'm sleeping 7 hours per night. Whatever gets measured gets managed. And that's super important because you're paying attention to it, right? It's like your finances. When you are budgeting and paying attention to what you're spending and you understand how your money works, it works for you. But if you don't pay attention, you know, things are going to be on fire and you're never really going to know where you're going. Okay, next one is, all right, we have, is your goal achievable and attainable? So for example, achievable and attainable is not, I want to lose 50 pounds in 3 months. Is it achievable? Possible, scary, rough, but it's not realistic and it's probably not going to be attainable. And therefore you'll set yourself up for just failure and frustration. And I've done it too. So one thing I like to mention for this in particular is, what season of life are you in right now? Okay. Because I had a bad habit of wanting to compete when things in my life were chaotic, because I felt like competition would like keep me focused. It would just be like, I'm focused and it's just me and me and I'm doing my thing. And, you know, it was a blessing and a curse. But when you have a lot of moving parts in your life, you really want to think about, is this goal that I'm trying to set make sense with a timeline? Do I have a sick parent? You know, am I have kids that are, you know, getting married? Am I doing things that are going to be demanding a lot of my attention to put a really strict goal on myself? And I oftentimes tell people to go in with half of what they anticipate they think they want, because if you're going to just set yourself for thinking if you didn't lose 15 pounds, then you weren't successful. So think about your big goal. Take about 30 seconds here. Again, we love shares. So please put it in the chat. We love just kind of getting some ideas on where you're at, and think about if it's attainable and if it's achievable. Last 10 seconds. We love you too, Bev. Bev is the community cheerleader over in the Goddess Body Project group. Christine, I love that. Getting back to you, absolutely. New moms, definitely know that phase for sure. And I keep forgetting to say this because I've seen it come up a few times. Like Lisa says, I think my husband subconsciously tries to sabotage me. Somebody else said something about their partner. Jack and I did our first podcast, and it's going to be airing next week. And it's great because I share our story, because when we met, we ate very differently, and I kind of went down a few pounds. I'm not down up, but he took me down. That's what I'm saying, a little bit in the beginning, and I had to recalibrate. And I was like, whoa, I don't like how I feel, right? But we talk about relationships and fitness and how we've established a really good cadence with it, with lots of tips and things. So if you guys have a partner and you really would like them to also do this kind of thing, share it with them or listen to it on a car ride or something, and just kind of get two different perspectives. Okay. Let's see, where are we at? Alexis says, I feel like my goal is attainable. My husband and I are trying for a baby later this year. I want to give myself grace through the process. Absolutely. Experience share. We had a lot of women that would come and pole dance who had been trying fertility things for years. Nothing worked. And we've had so many pregnancies from it. So, and I can't guarantee it, but take a pole dance class, take a sensual dance class, and get in touch with your sexy, might just the process. I don't know. Don't have a strict goal right now. Okay. So we're moving things along, and this is where things start to come into play, is because you're getting more specific. Okay. Last one. Oh, no, two more. Is this relevant? So is the goal that you have, does it align with like other aspirations and values and things that are important to you? Okay. Does it make sense? And the reason why I have this client here photo specifically is because if you don't want to compete, it doesn't make sense for you to put yourself through that whole process, or eat like a bodybuilding diet. And this is really why this slide comes into play, is because a lot of people think that in order to get the leanest of their life, that they have to set these really hardcore, crazy goals and do them in this short time frame. And that's just not necessary, right? So think about your goal. Does it align with your overall long-term vision for your life, healthier lifestyle? And map that out a little bit deeper there. So let's take another 20-ish seconds here. And this should be page 11. All right. How are we doing so far? Thumbs up. We're getting it done. All right, now here is the dun dun dun. This is the time piece of it, right? Is really getting specific about when you want to achieve this goal. Now, if your goal is I want to live a healthier lifestyle, obviously that's a forever thing, right? That's something you want forever. But if you can give yourself a shorter window of time to accomplish a specific goal that also leads to that end goal over time, then you're going to be taking those actionable steps. So give yourself a bit of a deadline for your goal. Give it some meaning. Again, get in your feels about it, and know that it is going to likely take much longer than you are probably going to have the patience for. But you have to just come back to this conversation. When you're feeling impatient about it, it should be happening faster. It's been 2 weeks and nothing's changed, right? How many times have we heard that? I know somebody on this call that said that very early on as a client, but I won't throw anybody under the bus. And now she's doing fantastically, right? But it was like those 2 weeks of just like, the scale's not moving, and then finally, when we brainwashed you enough to not worry about the scale, then things started to happen, right? Okay, so declare in the chat box, wrap up your final goal, and let us know what that looks like. When do you intend to achieve it? Give it a deadline, give it some legs to get you to take some action.
And I love that. By June, I want a juicy ass. She said, I was just about to say, when you are thinking of the timeline, think about what it's going to take to get there. And then really ask yourself, in this season of my life right now, can I actually do those things in that amount of time? And if the answer is yes, go for it. But if the answer is no, be realistic with yourself, because otherwise, this is where we set ourselves up for failure. We set timelines that are just not realistic, and then you end up trying to make it and you overwhelm yourself and you end up quitting. So really think about what it's going to take to get there and then decide the timeline.
Precisely. And to Denise's point, it's like, you guys, fat loss takes time. It takes time. And when you're over 40, it takes more time usually. And building muscle takes even more time, right? And it's just one of those things that, it's just the nature of the beast. So just as long as you understand that and just know time is going to pass anyways, you might as well just keep doing the things that make you feel good and, are going to help you grow old gracefully, all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. And it's going to help you enjoy the process along the way. Because when you enjoy it, you're going to be more adherent to it. If you're miserable, you're going to quit. Nobody wants to be miserable.
Yes.
So by enjoying the process and learning from it and appreciating the small changes, it'll help you stay more adherent to it.
Yeah. And Miss Gina, we're going to see you in some shorts this summer. She says she wants summer sexy legs before the summer starts. Yay. We're going to see you in some shorts. I just know it. I love it. Okay. Lose 17 pounds of fat by the end of summer. That's less than a half a pound per week. Very sustainable, very doable. I love that. Great one, Lisa. Goal weight by birthday, which is October. Perfect. Andrea, I would challenge you just as a second thought, whatever your goal weight is, how many pounds is that? And then I want you to just as a, overall for everybody here, PSA is that healthy, sustainable weight loss. That means you lose it at a rate that you're not losing a ton of muscle and you're doing it in a way that your metabolism is going to, stay happy. All those things, your hormones is a half a pound to a pound per week. And that is going to take you, It's going to take some of you guys a while. Now, some of you that may feel like you have more to lose, some of that will come off faster and in chunks at first when you start really paying attention to your health and your fitness. But it will slow down over time, and that's totally normal. It's not going to be a forever downhill pattern. So just reverse engineering that so okay, a half a pound to a pound is ideal. And if you're on that as an average over the month, you're doing great. Okay. All right. Let's talk about daily commitments. Okay. Now, when we go through the Goddess Body Project, we actually, I don't even have it in here because I'm rereading it right now, but we basically implement atomic habits throughout the program. And I don't know if any of you have read that book. It's a James Clear book. If you have, please raise your hand or paste it in the chat. But essentially, my coaching is tailored on restructuring your habits while also giving you the tools to get the results, the workouts and the diet plans and all that. But we're really drilling down the habit piece of things. So if you will see that Sunday checklist that you guys got for showing up today, that's going to list a lot of the habits you're going to need to be successful, quite frankly. So aside from those things, there are habits that we all acquire that get us to a certain point. And is it DoorDash? Are you eating out every lunch and dinner? Are you going out for drinks? Are you doing all these things, which are great and fine, but kind of got you where you're at, right? You're snacking a lot, you're eating a lot of junk food, candy, whatever it is. Those things are going to have to change. Are you staying up too late, right? If your sleep is shitty, it affects so many other things. And we talk incessantly about sleep in the Goddess Body Project, because if you aren't sleeping right, you're not going to lose fat, you're not going to build muscle, and you're going to be a hungry, ravenous bitch all day. And shit's just going to be weird. So sleep is so important. And setting up your surroundings. Who do you hang out with? These are things you have to think about. Is your partner on board, right? We talked about that. When are you going to work out? What days of the week? What time? Before work, after work? You got to get your clothes ready. There's a lot of shit that goes on when you make a commitment to yourself. And so setting yourself up for success is imperative. So you stay consistent. We get that question all the time. I'm sure Alicia gets it. Denise gets it. How do I stay consistent? You just got to do this shit all the time.
You have to prioritize is really what you have to do. Yeah.
Yeah. When are you going to cook? Are you going to cook your own meals? If you're going to decide to eat healthy, are you going to outsource that? Got to order it. You got to figure out the ordering days. When you aren't motivated, what are you going to do? Because that's going to happen. That happens way more than you'll think will happen. A lot of people are romanticized about starting a program, and it's like a honeymoon period for a couple of weeks. And they're like, oh, I gotta do this stuff. Yeah, you got to show up for yourself, right? So just remembering that you're going to lose motivation. So what do? Right? Are you going to be able to do that on your own? Do you need to hire a coach? Do you need an accountability partner? And also, when you fall off track, we don't really believe in that in the Goddess Body Project. It's like, you don't fall off track. You just had a cookie. Like, cookies are fucking great. Like, have a cookie and then don't eat like an asshole for dinner. And then tomorrow you eat your normal breakfast, but you don't feel guilty because you had a cookie, right? It's just like, we got to retrain our brain and get out of so much diet culture and just like, let's just eat to be healthy. And as a byproduct, we're going to be hot, right? So, one of the things that I like to share too is just the visualizing piece of it, the visualizations piece of it. The caterpillar probably doesn't know it's going to turn into a beautiful butterfly, but through that metamorphosis, it's really kind of a lesson to us is like, you really have to kind of go within and just think about what that looks like and feels like for you to achieve that goal. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I didn't visualize at some point that I can actually do the things that I have accomplished on stage, there's no way in heck I would have ever done them or thought that I could even be decent at them. So when you mentally rehearse what it is that you want in your life, it's so important because your brain is going to conspire in your favor to really start taking those actions. So January is always a great time for that, right? We all look at what we want to be doing a year from now. I think it's a great way to hit reset. And I always say, we get a lot of newbies in January, and we have a really good percentage of them that stay and continue because of this foundation that they've set, which is understanding that it needs to be a lifestyle, or you're just going to keep doing the next hot diet and ping ponging around. So now what? Okay, you guys are motivated, you're inspired, you're ready to take action. What are your next steps? I want to know in the chat box. What are your next steps? What is your next action step in order for you to start the momentum, tip the first domino to achieve that goal? Do you need to join the gym? Do you need to talk to your spouse, your partner, whoever? Do you need to say no to some things in your life to create space for yourself, right? You've got a plan, and now you got to figure out what your next thing is to deploy and run the play, as my boyfriend would tell me. Let's run the play. I'm like, God, I don't know. I think that means we got to do some shit. So the glute challenge, Melissa, the glute challenge actually doesn't start tomorrow. It starts on the 13th. Am I right?
The 13th.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The 13th. So it doesn't start tomorrow. It will start the 13th. You guys, we have a 7-day free glute challenge. I'll send that in an email with the replay as well too. But 7 days, you get, to kind of see how we coach. We'll be live in the Facebook group every day during those 7 days. You'll get access to the app, all the workouts, the style of training that we do. Okay. Get a gym membership, set days and times to go. Great, Christine. Love it. Mary, put it on the calendar and tell my partner I'm going. Perfect. Yeah, figure those days out, girlfriend. More planning and more no's. Love that, Andrea. Love it.
Love that.
Heidi, schedule goal writing time every morning and evening. Now, one of James Clear's, lessons in his book is when you see your goal every day, it makes you that much more on track to really doing what you need to get it done when you can see it written down. And so write it in a journal, write it in your planner, save it as a screen wallpaper, Yeah, you're ready to build your booty. Join a gym. All right, Miss Cindy. And take it a step further. Once you join a gym, what are you going to do once you're in the gym, right? What's the plan once you're there? And that's the next step. So join the gym, and then let's take the next step, right? And just constantly thinking one next baby step is all you ever have to do, really. Kaylin, fucking hop to it. Set up a plan for training sessions, better choices. I love it. Get into a routine. There you go, Cindy. All right, you guys. Well, I obviously would love to have everybody here do the Goddess Body Project because it's my life's work and our passion. And, all the coaches, are involved in some way, whether it's in the studio or online. But we start January 27th. So I'll just share with you a little bit about the program if you want information, kind of what it is that we do, how things roll out. And if you want to stay, I do have a slide. I have a little bonus for you guys for coming that gives you a bit of a discount if you want to do this. Now, this is the online group program. We have several of our graduates here today, even that have continued on with us just on our monthly recurring, basically coaching. So the Goddess Body Project is 12 weeks. This has been a program I've offered and morphed and had different iterations for 12 years. Okay. It is definitely refined. It has been, and some of you may have even been through Goddess Body University, 6 weeks to Fierce AF, Sexy Summer Camp, Rocktober, right? All a bit of what we've got in here has morphed over the years from those things. So we cover nutrition. When you start with us in the group program, what happens is you start to get personalized, like weekly emails just to this experience, to this group. And the first onboarding emails you're going to get once we get started is it's going to tell you, do you want to count macros or do you want to follow a meal plan? You have to know thyself, right? And you'll know which way you want to go. If you've never tracked macros, I probably wouldn't suggest that path. I would start to shop from our grocery lists, our meal plans, and all the other materials that you'll get because you'll get so far with just that. I really think macros needs to be for the girls are ready to take it to the next level, in my professional coaching opinion. Would you two ladies agree? My co-coaches here.
Yeah.
Right.
Completely agree.
Yeah. And I think macros is great, but I think it's really hard to just go straight to macros if that's not really something that's even been in your, thought, right? Like, I don't even know what macros are, and it's a lot. We have, like I said, meal plans, grocery lists that are tied to the meal plans, recipes, all the things, snack lists. We've got all of the fast food meal plans that I created over the years. So basically, you could be dropped into McDonald's, a Taco Bell, a Chipotle, a Panda Express, I don't even know, Panera. And I went through and to each of these places and created meal plans. So my clients could never tell me again, I only had fast food to eat. And I'm like, I got a solution. So it's all like figured out, because there's really just the not knowing felt like a hurdle for a lot of people. So the eating on the go guide, supplements. Now the training piece of things is all done in my app. Your workouts will be loaded. You'll have them the first day of the program on the 27th. You'll know exactly what to do in the gym, what machines, how many sets, how many reps, what order. If you don't have that machine, you can swip, it's like fully customized to making you successful, really. Cardio is programmed in there. Core is programmed in there. We focus a lot on lower body because as females, that's where we tend to carry most of our body fat, is the lower half. And a lot of times we neglect really strengthening that area because we don't know how. We've been doing group classes or just maybe haven't ever been into a gym setting. And we're here to tell you that is the most precious tissue you want on your body if you want to grow old gracefully, be healthier for longer, have stronger bones, and also have lower body fat, which is probably what a lot of you are interested in too, right? Is having lean muscle. Everything is there. You'll have access to all of it. You get to keep all of the the PDFs and all that forever and ever. We have a chat group in the app as well, where a lot of the girls are in there asking questions, cheering each other on. We're in there every day. We also have a Facebook forum where you can drop in videos of your training. And so if you're at the gym and you're like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, grab a 30-second video, prop it up on your, shaker cup or your water bottle, record it, and then I will go in and I will tell you, on your next time you go in there, I want you to change this. I want you to do this instead. Super, super helpful. A lot of women don't have that or, the ability to invest in personal training. And it's very important. So you'll always have us at your fingertips. So it's not one-on-one, but you've got everything to be successful. Okay. And we're there to troubleshoot. Now, what I feel valuable piece of all of this is we have weekly calls. Denise and I are there. Alicia's going to be showing up. We're going to be pulling in more coaches for this next round. And we will go over different topics every single week that are important for you to be successful for this through the long term. And I've got a list of all of the topics we'll show you on the next slide, but we've got it all here so that way you don't ever have a question on what you need to do, right? You have all the resources. If you can't make the live calls, we send the replays. And let me tell you, these girls are always like, I'm waiting for the replay. I'm waiting for the replay. They want the replay. Let's see. Topics. So 12 weeks. This is what we go over. We do a kickoff call on that Saturday. So I believe that's the 25th. It'll be a Zoom kickoff. We'll meet like this. We'll go over, all of the things that you need to focus on for the first week, get you guys all hyped up, pumped up, ready to go. We go over all of these subjects. So I won't read over them, but you can take a glance here. and you'll have an idea of exactly what's in store. These videos get emailed to you Sunday. They are your hot girl homework. You'll get them, early in the morning. And the idea is like Sundays, get your mind right, set your week up right. Let's learn a little bit about, these topics. And then when we meet up for the actual live call on Monday, the very next day, a lot of times we're just kind of cliff noting what that conversation was and teaching you something totally new. Denise and I have this tendency, because we were like, oh no, we see this in the group, we need to address this, right? So these are the things that we have seen have been really helpful to keep women, educated and understanding the process over the long term. And this is our private Facebook group, which I love. During the Goddess Body Project, it's always buzzing, super fun. The girls are pumping each other up. So we have the Boss Bitch Besties, which is like the free bigger group. And then this is just any of our coaching clients in this specific group. And this is where we spend most of the time during the 12 weeks is coaching in there. But wait, there's more. We have it open for enrollment right now. So it is up on the site, bossbitchradio.com. The group program is $4.99 for 12 weeks. So we have the promo code for this actual workshop from today, because you guys showed up live, is goals. So in the chat box, I'll paste that there. But if you guys have any questions, let me know as I'm kind of going along, because often we'll have somebody like, oh, what about this? Or what about that? And I totally glaze over. But we're starting the 25th, right? That's right around the corner. I'm like, holy shit. It's like, it's so here. It's so here. I'm actually really excited because I have a vacation planned. And so I'm definitely going to be making sure I'm all about it. We're all about it. I can't see that chat box, Miss Denise.
Yeah, I was about to post the link, but it looks like you got it. So
okay.
No, and there aren't any questions in here, but I love Christina is sharing her experience. Mary is sharing her experience, both of them saying how the Goddess Body Project has changed their lives. Mary says what she loved the most was the communication and the attention to more than just the workouts. And of course, the community.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely just backing up what you've just said, because it is more than just workouts, and it is more than what you eat.
Yes.
It is.
Absolutely.
There's so much more to being healthy and losing weight and reaching your goal, then a lot of times we feel like, oh, I just want to lose X number of pounds. But once you actually get into it, there's so much more than that. It's more about how you feel in your body, how confident you feel, how you show up at work, how you show up in life. It's getting your social life back. It's playing with your grandkids and feeling energized. It's those things in life that you've been missing out on that this doing something for yourself brings back to you. It's so much more than just losing, 10 to 20 or 30 pounds or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what we want you guys to think about when you're thinking about your goals is, how do you feel in your body right now? And how do you want to feel? It's
Most
more than
definitely.
just a number of pounds. How do you want to feel? Because that's what you're going to take with you for the rest of your life, is how you feel.
Yeah.
Not the scale, the number on the scale, right?
Yes. And we always like to highlight these three beauties because they also started in the Goddess Body Project and had no idea what it was going to end up doing for their lives, which is awesome. Heather, Vanessa, Kelly, the two on the right, they had zero intentions probably of ever competing and getting on stage. Or I'm not going to do that. Kelly was like, I'm not doing that. They thought it was cool or whatever. And they did. And it started with the Goddess Body Project, right? Vanessa had no idea what it was going to end up being for her, but they all have the same thing in common. They set a goal each time in the Goddess Body Project, and they just followed the plan, they executed, and they invested in themselves, right? Going back to the earlier slide where we're just talking about, 95% of people who invest in their health or their wellness end up being successful because they're, they're investing in it. They're, no one wants to waste their money. And so much, in fact, that I even have this, cheesy guarantee, because I'm like, if you do all the things that we have set out for you to do over 90 days, you come to the calls, you download all the materials, you're participating in all the things that we're asking, you're sending in training videos, and you're like absolutely unhappy, I will gladly write you a check back, because I will be like, there's no way your life has not improved by taking the action needed. Right. We also have the in-person version, because I know we have some Modesto girls here too. And I will send the link, once I send the replay for that as well too. But we have this whole program in Modesto too, where we take you through it. You actually get in-person sessions with us. So that's also, super cool, because you literally have your coach with you, holding your hand through the whole process. So
right. Andrea is asking, there's a couple of people that are asking, is there one-on-one coaching option? So we've had some of the girls respond, and those who are with a one-on-one coach giving their experience. But I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a 16-week coaching program. We made a little bit of shifting with our programs in terms of the Goddess Body Project, but yes, you can absolutely do one-on-one coaching. I'll send that also in the replay for you. I'll just send you guys all the links, just kind of decide what you want to do. But that is available. So you will have an option to participate alongside the Goddess Body Project with your coach one-on-one, participate in all the chats and do all that fun stuff as well too. So stay tuned.
Just to support the guarantee that you mentioned, I mean, I think, just to very quickly sum it up, the only way this doesn't work is if you don't do the work. Simply said, because we've had, you guys have seen the comments in here. This works. This just changes people's lives. It's not just about the losing weight. It changes your life entirely, because it's a completely different perspective on how you view food. You change your relationship with food. You learn habits that you're going to keep for the rest of your life. Your families will end up benefiting from this, because you are changing. The loved one that you think is sabotaging you is, just recognize that this is change for them too. They are losing a version of you that they know, and it might make them feel insecure. It might make them feel uncomfortable. But if you stick to it and you involve them, go on walks with your family, go on a healthy date night with your husband or your loved one, include them in here so that they don't feel like they're losing a part of you. This will change your family's life as well. 100% guaranteed it will do that.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes. So we would love to share it with you, obviously, but just to wrap things up, let us know if you have any questions, post them in the chat, and also like questions with your goal setting stuff too. If you want a little bit more clarity, like, hey, you can send it to me privately as well, and I can help tease that out for you for sure. But, I'm excited to see this unfold for you guys. And if you don't end up joining us in the Goddess Body Project, at least stay in the, connected in the Boss Bitch Besties group over on Facebook, and just use that as a place for you to hold yourself accountable to your goals. Like if you want to head over there and just, paste it in there, and just, you'll be surprised. We have a lot of women that'll connect and be your accountability buddy and want to, see you succeed for sure. I love that. Oh, I love all the love in here. You guys are awesome. She says, thanks for your guidance on your sleep goal. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, sleep is magic. Sleep is magical. Well, you guys have been fantastic today. Nobody has any questions? Anyone going to head off to the gym right now? Get on your treadmill, go for a walk. Heidi's like, I'm ready. Alexis, I just re-upped for one-on-one coaching. Awesome. I love that. Let's see. Alexis says, I just re-upped for one-on-one coaching for the next 12 weeks and have a goal, but going on an international vacation, smack in the middle of it. Am I naive for thinking I can still achieve my goal of losing 10 to 15 pounds? Is Alexis your girly? Alicia?
Yes, she is my girl.
Do you want to answer that one?
Oh, I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
You talk all the time.
Okay, got you. So I personally think, well, first, it just depends on where you're at right now. So I don't really know a lot of your history. So, 10 to 15 pounds really, it really, that matters, right? Like, are you 130 pounds and you want to be 115? I'd be like, no, let's not do that, boo-boo, right? I mean, it just really depends. But even without knowing that information, I think 15 pounds in 12 weeks is a bit aggressive. So I would say, considering you have a vacation in the middle of that, I would probably aim more towards the 10 side of things. And then just reverse engineer that as best as you can. Like, what does that look like over the course of 12 weeks? And then maybe while you're on your trip, that trip can be a week where you take a diet break and you just eat at like maintenance calories, and work with macros and just hit calories and not stress out about hitting your protein, your carbs, and your fats, right? Work and just eat at maintenance calories. And maybe you have like one or two, fun meals or something like that, that are a little more indulgent. That's what I would say, unless you're getting on stage and like there's all kinds of other factors, but roughly.
I think we can do it, Alexis. I think so.
Yeah, love that. That's too funny. Going for a walk. Yes, that sounds lovely. It's so nice out here. I want to go for a little mini hike. Going ice skating. I love it. Fasted cardio. Ooh, you got that done today, sis, huh? Working the glutes. All right. Well, you guys are all beautiful. I'll hang out for like 5 more minutes. If you want to chat or you want to you have a question or whatever, feel free. And if not, peace out. Enjoy your Sunday. Do something now that you have an action plan. And yeah, let me know. Let me know. Keep me posted along your journey. Bye, Lisa. You're welcome. Absolutely. You're welcome, Kim. What a great way to start the year. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yay.
If you are currently tracking macros and following a program, would the Goddess Body Project still be a good fit? Yes, on the tracking macros would go perfectly. Now, it just depends on what kind of program, Andrea, that you're following. Only because, we have our like structured training plan or whatever. So if you're like, I'm going to be doing, I don't know, tennis or something, I'd be like, no, it doesn't really, it's probably not the same. It's not going to have the same effect, but, what program would be my question? Tina, do you still recommend working out 5 days a week? So that depends a little bit, Miss Tina, on your goals. So if are you feeling beat up? How's your recovery? Are you feeling like you're making progress? If you're not, you might have to think about those things just a little bit. But I would say 3 to 5 days is a sweet spot for those that have kind of been doing it for a while. Just to get in and make sure you're hitting your body parts, but you can be incredibly successful doing 3. So. Ooh, good question. Akimi says, how do you deal with hyperfixation on a goal? I usually don't have a hard time meeting a single goal, but it usually ends up with me totally neglecting my tier 2 goals. Ooh, okay. This is a juicy one. I think allocating enough of your resources and knowing yourself, my favorite saying is, if you chase 2 rabbits, you get none. So I like to say we shouldn't have priorities. It's like, what's the priority? So if we're talking in a sense of physical goals, right? Where you're like, okay, I want to lose fat and gain muscle. Those are two opposing goals. Now, they can be done simultaneously by way of body recomposition, but it's really, really hard. So we got to decide which one you want to do. And it kind of comes down to where you're at and where you want to go. So I know you're in the process of starting with Alicia here soon for coaching, or if you haven't already. And I would just say, take that into consideration, if hopefully that makes sense. Donna says, I need help in how to find a new career. I left my job and feeling excited about a new start late in life. How do I find out what that is? This is so good. I love this. This is so fun. Is there a test or something? LOL. This is Anna Canizaro. Yeah. Right? Is she still here? Where'd she go? She left a question and ran.
I'm
okay.
here.
Okay. I don't see you for some.
I'm under Donna.
Okay. That's why. Okay. So, I mean, I could probably do an entire podcast on this, but I would say, what can you sit and have a conversation with somebody with, like, and be passionate about it? Right? Like, I could talk about health and fitness to anybody and be fully in flow with zero problems because it's my passion. And so it's, what are your strengths? What are you passionate about? And how can you kind of intersect those if you want to make it a business? Is that kind of what you're asking? Yeah. And I know that's like way like high level kind of broadly, but just start Googling that, chat GPTing that, whatever. Here's what I love. Here's my strengths. And who knows? How fun. I'm excited.
No, scary.
Good luck.
Scary, but so fun. I love that. Okay. Tina says, I'm down 48 pounds, but my body's looking a little soft. Okay. So we might need to, Tina, you might need to just take a look at your macros. Are your macros, you're not eating enough protein. Maybe you're not eating enough in general to kind of build muscle. That's one thing. How are your hormones? Are you taking care of your hormones? Have you had your blood levels checked? How's your sleep? You see where this can go? It's a rabbit hole. There's so many ways, right? There's so many, things.
I was going to say, it's going to be more than, for what she just mentioned, it's going to be more than just the workouts. So yeah, you'll have to, if you want to like change the softness, there's a lot of nutrition there involved as well. Making sure your nutrition is harmonized with your workouts. It's going to be more than just the workout. So yeah, you're probably ready to step it up a notch. I think you've got the workouts there, and now it's time to look at everything else.
Absolutely. Andrea says, where are we at? Open to changing to the GPP program. I meant as far as where you're at in your transformation journey doesn't meet you where you are. Yeah. So when you start, your macros are going to, the information we give you is going to guide you. Like, hey, are you wanting this as a goal? This is how you would kind of figure out what your macros are. And then as we go through the Goddess Body Project, you'll also be prompted at a certain point in the program. Okay, like, let's take a little bit of inventory of where you are with your goals. Do you need to adjust your macros? And we have a whole section on coaching on, do you need to adjust your macros? Like, here's what we need to consider. And we educate you on that process, because a lot of times the problem is that women jump from these macros and then they jump to these macros. Oh, that didn't work. It was a week and I didn't see anything. So they go to that. I'm like, stop that. Like, here's what you need to do and why you need to do it. It's just to keep you understanding, like, you're not doing anything wrong. Right. So it will meet you where you're at. And then as far as the training goes, we give you the workouts and then the weights are up to you. So it 100% meets you where you're at. Because if you're advanced, then you just need to utilize the program at your current strength level. So we're not telling you, like, not everybody is lifting 20 pounds for this, because that's where we get to customize it. Bev's got a little tip there. Andrea, guilty of switching it up a lot. Yeah. So that's it, hun. So if you're constantly switching it up, your hunger hormones take about 2 weeks to adjust to dietary changes. So we teach this in the early days of the Goddess Body Project, is that women freak out every time. Oh my God, I'm going to get fat eating all this food. Oh my gosh, just so many calories. Oh my God. I'm like, it's 1,700 calories. It's whole food. So you feel full longer. That's great. That's awesome. We want that. Right. But it takes a couple weeks to adjust. And then finally their body is like, oh, we're online now. Things are how they're supposed to.
Yeah. And not only that, but a lot of time I hear that a lot all the time. This is way too much food. And the reality is it's not a lot of food. The thing is that you were eating too little food.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it seems like it's a lot. You weren't eating enough, and that's why it seems like a lot, but it's actually not a lot.
Well, it's
perspective.
For sure. It's that. And then on the flip side of that coin is they were eating once or twice a day, but then they were like snacking like crazy, in the pantry. And also the meals that they were eating were very heavy calorie dense meals.
Yes.
That took them way over their allotment of calories, but it's just because it's highly palatable. It's easier to consume a lot of it, that it's more of a challenge.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, no one else, no last minute lingering questions. We're good. All right. Got to run. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. You guys were fantastic. Well, have a killer Sunday. Hopefully we see you in the Goddess Body Project. If not, we'll see you in the Boss Bitch Besties group. And all right, we're out of here. Bye.
Bye, guys.